Okay, hello everyone. In this video, we're going to talk about the second half of Isaiah 23. If you haven't watched the first half of Isaiah 23, please do so first because this is a continuation from it. All right, picking up from verse 15. We're moving on to Tyre's revival and allegiance to the Lord and his people. Okay, so until now, we had talked about the destruction. From now, we're going to talk about Tyre's revival and allegiance, the restoration. Okay, verse 15. In that day, Tyre will be forgotten for 70 years, like the days of one king. At the end of 70 years, it will happen to Tyre as in the song of the prostitute. So we here have 70 years. So 70 years, Tyre is going to be laid waste, implying at the end of 70 years, they're going to come back alive. Okay, verse 16. Take a harp, go about the city, O forgotten prostitute. Make sweet melody, sing many songs that you may be remembered. This verse 16 is often called the song of the prostitute. We don't know if Isaiah composed it or picked up a popular song that's around him in his days. But it's like Tyre is going to be like the prostitute who is singing to make business. It's like a forgotten prostitute. So she has no clientele. And people are saying, do something, go and sing in the city so you can get more clients, okay? And we're gonna come back and discuss why Isaiah is using this language of harlotry here, but just set that aside for now and just remember that after 70 years, Tyre is gonna be restored, okay? Verse 17, at the end of 70 years, the Lord will visit Tyre and she will return to her wages and will prostitute herself with all the kingdoms of the world on the face of the earth. Her merchandise and her wages will be holy to the Lord. It will not be stored or hoarded, but her merchandise will supply abundant food and fine clothing for those who dwell before the Lord. So we're going to talk about the issue of harlotry and also the issue of fulfillment. Let's talk about fulfillment first. The options of fulfillment, I'll read you all the options of fulfillment possibilities. Tiglath-Pileser III of Assyria in 745, Shalmaneser in 727, Sennacherib in 701, Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon 586, Artaxerxes II the Persian in 333, Alexander the Great in 332 BCE. My point of reading all this out is that just to highlight the fact that we have many options to choose from, and that also means that scholars kind of are divided on when this fulfillment occurred. Two of these options, possibilities, I would like to highlight because they're exceptionally appealing, although they each have its own problem. Sennacherib 701 is the most, widely accepted among evangelical scholars to be the fulfillment of this, because when Sennacherib destroyed Sennacherib destroyed the whole mainland and damaged the trade and so on. Another option is Nebuchadnezzar 586, the guy that destroyed Judah. He also destroyed Tyre and Sidon. But the problem is he opened 13-year siege, but he didn't really succeed in actually capturing it. But the reason why a lot of people think 586 is an appealing option is actually because of Ezra 3. If you turn to Ezra 3:7, so Ezra is building the temple, right? The exiles come back from Babylon, they're building the temple, and look what happens. Verse 7, chapter 3, verse 7. So they gave money to the masons, they is the Israelites, the returned exiles. They gave money to the masons and the carpenters, and food, drink, and oil to the Sidonians and the Tyrians, to bring cedar trees from Lebanon to the sea, to Joppa, according to the grant that they had from Cyrus, king of Persia. So when Ezra and Zerubbabel people are building the temple once again, here it says they paid food, drink, oil to the Sidonians and the Tyrians to bring cedar trees. So Tyre and Sidon are back on their feet doing trade. But more importantly, if you look at Isaiah, going back to the Isaiah, it says, her merchandise and her wages will be holy to the Lord. Okay? her merchandise, Tyre's merchandise and her wages will be holy to the Lord. Verse 18, it will not be stored or hoarded, but her merchandise will supply abundant food and fine clothing for those who dwell before the Lord. So it seems like the restoration of Tyre and Sidon is going to include some sort of benefiting the people of God through the trade. And we see that happening in Ezra. So in Ezra, the temple reconstruction is actually 70 years after the destruction by Nebuchadnezzar, which happened in 586. Because the reconstruction of the temple was 515, and of course, to buy the material, it probably predated that a little bit. So if you take 70 years literally, Nebuchadnezzar's destruction in 586 fits nicely. However, once again, Nebuchadnezzar didn't quite destroy them completely. And 70 years, the term 70 years can always be taken figuratively, although it can be taken literally as well. So that's the difficulty. I will just briefly and summarize it for you that it is quite likely that there will be a future ultimate eschatological fulfillment of this prophecy, although it happened partially in the time of Ezra and Nehemiah, and meaning the destruction probably was 586 that we're speaking of here, although that is only a partial and initial fulfillment. So that was the end of chapter 23. That is the end of the 10 oracles on the nations, stretching from Isaiah 13 to 23. Chapters 24 through 27, I'm looking forward to cover it with you. I'll see you in the next video. Just kidding. I forgot to talk about the harlotry, the language of harlotry. No wonder it was so short. When I pressed stop, it was 6 minutes. But yeah, so it's weird. It's weird. At the end of 70 years, the Lord will visit Tyre and she will return to her wages and will prostitute herself with all the kingdoms. So what on earth is this? It's like God's going to visit them and they're going to be restored where her merchandise and wages are going to be holy to the Lord. But this is described in terms of she's going to be prostituting herself with all the kingdoms. Like, is that really what restoration of God looks like? Like, prostituting herself? Like, is that really even a restoration? So that's the difficulty with this verse. And Septuagint actually and the Targum have different text. It says it will be a port of merchandise. However, text critically, most people think the Masoretic text is the more reliable, and Septuagint and Targum kind of gave up explaining this or taking it literally and kind of paraphrase or rephrase, change something to make it more sense. So we should really wrestle with the Masoretic text as we have in our Bibles. So then what's the answer? I first found this option as unsatisfactory, but as I kind of read on more and stuff, I found it a little more satisfying. And the answer is that this language of harlotry doesn't necessarily mean like strict sexual harlotry, but it's more like it's a term for trading and selling and buying merchandise and so on. So like imagine back in those days, a ship comes in to the port and they unload their goods and they spread it out, open their crates and start selling their stuff. This is grain from Alexandria and so on and on. And it's like they're trying to attract people to their goods, giving bargains and so on. So in that active buying and selling description is described using the image of a harlot trying to attract her customers. So it doesn't necessarily mean Tyre is going to be in a sinful state. That's how I view it. Some people have offered some other alternative explanations, such as maybe only a part of Tyre will be spiritually restored or something like that. But really, it's difficult to give a clear answer, but I just shared my view of how I understand this. But but let's talk about one brief spiritual lesson from here. It's important for us to remember what the material blessing is intended to be used for. When God blesses us with material and finances, it's not for us to rely on them and rely less on God, but to use it for God's glory, use it for His kingdom, use it in a way that glorifies His name. And that's the restoration. That's the center of restoration for Tyre. Tyre, who relied on the ships, who relied on the sea, will be destroyed and will come to realization that the sea is not what brought them wealth, it's really God. And hence, when they get restored, they're going to use their wealth and merchandise and their wages in a way that blesses God. And that's the one lesson we should learn about material blessing for us. When God blesses us, if God blesses us, it's not for our own sake, but it's to flow it out to those in need and be a channel of blessing. God bless you all.